Make sure I'm live. That's right. Okay.
What's that say?
Huh?
What's that say?
Yeah, you have to talk to Aaron.
So what, we're going to take you out there or what?
Not tonight.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna maybe take her to lunch tomorrow and meet her outside.
Oh.
At lunch.
10-4, Rubber Ducky.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm live. I'm logging in. How's everybody doing on this Friday night? It's taking a minute to log in over here. Lift it up. I don't know if you guys could even see it. So we're gonna talk some Squatch, huh? Tonight. The other night, I turned on the filter for the microphone and I put it on the high pass filter. So that meant all the low noise was going through, which was all the noise that was coming at me. So before I started tonight, I put it on the low pass filter, which means it lets the low stuff through and it blocks out the high stuff. And I don't know why I'm not coming in here. I need to do this. It says I have a good signal. I do this every time, don't I? I'm still getting used to this thing. Yikes. You got robots on steroids putting these caps on bottles. And there I am. I'm live. Now I can see myself. And I can see the chat. Hi Renee and Darlene, Skyscapes, and Christian, Kelly Bigfoot. How are you guys tonight? I hope you could hear me. No party at the neighbors tonight. No fireworks. Thank goodness. Even though I was kind of enjoying it. Oh, I do have sound. Okay, cool. Yeah, so tonight I thought I would start off with talking about Steve Isdall. Do you guys follow that guy? I think what he's doing is pretty cool. I don't know how many of the stories are, real, but I have a feeling a lot of them are, and I don't think there's that many fake ones. If they're fake, they're doing a really fine job of faking it, and I just don't see thousands of people writing in fake stories, just thousands and thousands like that. And a lot of them, if they're faking it, they know a lot about Bigfoot and descriptions and things like that, feelings that you get, fear, stuff like that. So, and I'm not sure if the chat's going through. I wonder if I should go back on that. I'll probably lose connection as soon as I do that. What's up, Chris? Ghost Wolf? Whoops. What did I do? Yeah, so So I don't watch every video that the guy puts out, but I look at the titles, and if it looks interesting, then I tune in, because a lot of the, at first I was watching them every time, but after a little while, a lot of the stories are so similar. They don't see a Bigfoot, but they hear a yell, they hear a tree knock, and if it was real different every day, I probably would tune in every single day, though. It's telling me to sign in now. I have no idea. It's the same one I was wearing the other day. We washed it though. I mean, it went through the laundry, but it's the same one I was wearing the other day. It's my favorite one out of all of them, even though believe is spelled wrong, which kind of sucks. Like, I didn't catch it at first, but you're walking down through, I think I was in a grocery store, and somebody says, hey, they spelled believe wrong, and I looked at it, and sure enough, it was spelled wrong. So tomorrow, for all those that are local, near me, I know most of you guys aren't, but the ones that are, I will be at Huntington Lake tomorrow all day, and then probably spending the night at China Peak at the ski resort hotel, and then coming home Sunday morning. Hey Brian, what a great video, man. I checked it out tonight. I mean Daytona. I forgot him. I didn't know if I'm supposed to say your name or not. What a great video, except for the rain, man. But I tell you, when you start talking about Bubba Gumps, that was so funny, man, so funny. Especially the first time when they ask you to leave, a while back, and then you go over there and, or was it you left your drink or something like that? But then the second time they're asking you to leave, and you're gonna order something, and they're still asking you to leave. I couldn't believe that, man. Who runs a business like that? That's so ridiculous. That is a good way, like, everybody that hears or watches your videos probably won't go there now. And I thought that was so hilarious, man. So hilarious. I see Brant. How's it going, Brant? And I'm gonna add the moderator too. You now have a wrench. That way you match everybody in blue. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about Bigfoot before I even knew there was a Bigfoot. And I was sitting and talking with my mom the other day, and what kind of brought this up is there were some stories on I tuned in on Steve Isdall's How to Hunt show because of the title, and I can't remember what the title was, but there was a story that reminded me of when I was a kid and some of my parents' conversation, because we would go camping every weekend as I was growing up, and even when we lived in Yosemite, we went camping. Isn't that kind of weird? You live up in the hills and the mountains, but you still go camping, So I wanted to talk to her and ask her if she remembered some of the stories some of the things that happen in it, and it's all about like wood knocks and screams in the woods, and nobody ever saw anything that I know of. Now, they never said that. I know she didn't see anything. I'm not so sure about everybody else, though. Yeah, man, they asked you to leave. That's crazy. That's crazy. They should have just, did the right thing and took your order. It was raining. I mean, send the guy out with the pole. He's a lightning rod. I think that's funny. Man, I thought that was real funny. So I'm asking my mom, because there were certain things that people were writing to Steve Isdall that there was in the video that I watched that day, that I heard as a kid talking about the same thing, the same things. Whoever was writing their story to him, they were talking about the very same thing that I heard sitting around the campfire from my parents and their friends. We always went, our family and their family, always. It was the two families. We went every weekend. We went deer hunting every year. The last of the summer we went for 2 weeks scouting the deer areas. Then we went deer season. We spent nearly every day of the deer season up there. And if we couldn't, we did at least 2 weeks. So that meant we spent a ton of time in the woods. I mean, I grew up out there learning to hunt and fish and track and all that stuff. Georgia Bigfoot, how's it going? Bigfoot Anon, and Linda Mina. I hope I said that right. So one of the things they said, that this is how I know that it probably wasn't a fake story, at least that story, was they talked about hearing a car or a truck, a vehicle in low gear coming. It sounded like it was coming slow in low gear, but it never ever, the pitch never changed. It stayed the same sound for a long time. And sometimes they would be saying, "Can you hear that? Can you hear that?" I never heard it. Even if I was sitting right there and they were saying, can you hear that? And sometimes, they would talk about how they thought it was coming from under the ground. And that was interesting. I never felt anything coming from the ground. I never heard anything. But so I knew that the stories from that were not made up. And then there's the other ones where the screams, now I have heard this even before I saw Bigfoot. I'm talking about when I'm like 8, 5, 10, 11, 12, in more than one time, screams like some woman was being murdered. And that happened pretty regular up there. The sound of, it sounded like somebody was murdering a woman. And I mean, it was the god-awfulest screaming you ever heard in your life. Then there is the other part where in some of the ones that I've heard, where they see the Bigfoot and the Bigfoot starts running and they cover ground like unnatural fast, like so fast that it's almost like a cartoon. And then in one of them they talked about how the Bigfoot looked like it might not have even been touching the ground. It just floats. Well, that's exactly both things what I saw. I saw the Bigfoot running. He ran 200 yards in, I want to say, like 4 or 5 seconds. I mean, that's like 2 football fields. And I don't know if it was just because I was so freaked out about what I was seeing. All I know is I lowered my rifle down and was gonna put the scope on him, and I've followed, you know, deer and different animals while they're running, and I'm able to drop my eye in the scope and watch them run. This thing was running so fast I couldn't drop my eye in the scope because I thought I would lose him. You know, and if I, just for that, because he was moving so fast, I thought for, you know, he could disappear out of my view in a split second. So I couldn't drop my eye in the scope, and when he got behind the pine tree and disappeared behind it, that's when I dropped my eye in the scope and then scoped the whole area. You know, and so I know some of those stories, they're not faked. These people are sending in real stories. And I think as it goes, I think you're going to get more and more real stories, and you'll be able to tell the fake ones, at least for us people that seen a Bigfoot and seen him more than one time and seen him do certain things that defies physics, I guess you would call it. And when they describe that, you know, how would they know that? And it's something you don't read on every. I mean, I belong to I don't know how many Bigfoot Facebook sites, and know a lot of people that have seen a Bigfoot, and most of the time, Bigfoot, the people that see him only see him for seconds, you know, a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and that's 2 minutes is a long time in a Bigfoot sighting, if you know what I mean. So I think we're going to start seeing, like, out of that guy's channel, a whole lot of more real stories. Let's see, let me check the chat here. Let's see, Georgia Bigfoot, I'm going to give you, moderator, you're not a troll. Let's see. See, all my sightings have been in California, but different places in California, not all in the same area. In fact, the one area that I've spent more time in the last few years, I never seen one there at all. But I have seen them at the Thule Reservation. Before I met Jeff and Danny and everybody that I've been Bigfooting with the last 10 years, I spent a lot of time over by Yosemite on the southeastern side of Yosemite National Park. Not in the park, but outside the park. That's where I first saw the very first one I ever saw. And then it was kind of like in the same area, but it was 20-something miles lower down in the, I guess, mountain range, you know. Like, because where the first time I saw it, it was more at the, what do you call, the divide, where the peaks, the top peaks, where you cross over those top peaks and then you're coming down into Nevada. But the other times were lower down in some meadows, next to some meadows, and I was watching the meadows for deer, and it was in the migration route of the deer, and that's where I saw Bigfoot probably 3 other times, you know, along the migration route from the winter range all the way up to the summer range. And in the summer range is where I first saw them, or where, you know, where they stay at in the summertime in the real high altitudes. And then usually as deer season progresses, the weather gets bad. It drives them down into the winter range where there's below the snow line. So that's where I saw them the next 2 or the next 3 times right there. So I've seen them about 5 times, and each time was I saw different things. I never saw them as long as the very first sighting, but I've had a lot of weird, like mostly what I wanted to talk about was like the weird things before you see a Bigfoot. Like before I seen a Bigfoot, one of the things was a fear. Like you're fishing a little creek, and you're going, like how we would go in a pit, and 2 of us. So like if I'm at this fishing hole, and then there's creek, and then there's another little pool going up the hill, right? We would, like, I would have this one, and then the other guy's at the one lower than me, and then he would move up to the one above me, and then I would move, and we would kind of do that, like frog leaping up the creek, probably 5 miles, and all kinds of weirdness would happen almost every time we went fishing. But we never, you know, you always rationalize it off as, you know, oh, that was a pine cone that thumped, you know, or the limb just fell out of the tree, or that rock just rolled off, you know, the hill, for maybe it was just its time, you know. We never really had trees fall down. I have since, but not, that's after I seen them. And then there was the when you're by yourself and you're in an area you've been in hundreds of times, you know, on a dirt road, not really off in the woods or anything, and then all of a sudden have the worst fear you ever had hit you so bad that without looking around, without questioning anything, you just run. And I would run 100 yards, but while you're running, you're thinking to yourself, you know, like, you know, what the heck? How come I'm running? And where'd this fear come from? And why am I so afraid? I didn't even see anything. You know, maybe there's a bear or a mountain lion. And then it would be like, I feel stupid, even though nobody's watching me. I would think, this is stupid, and I would stop and look around. Even though the fear didn't leave me, you know, I was trying to rationalize it away, like I don't see anything, I didn't hear a bear, I didn't see a bear, there's no mountain lion, I didn't even find any sign of any kind of animals that could eat me. There's no rational reason for me to be running down the road for no reason at all. Even with a gun, too. That's the weird part, you know, carrying a .30-06 and running down the road. You would think that you would feel a lot safer with a .30-06, but I didn't. You know, I was running like the wind, you know. Am I on Paranormal Central? I was on Paranormal Central. I'm going to add you as a moderator. So, hey, Prairie Ghost. Ashland, Oregon? In the east parts, huh? I lived in Ashland, Oregon for a while. I've had some strange things happen in Ashland, Oregon. One thing was Mount St. Helens blew up. And then I heard, you know, we lived in an apartment, and the guy that lived right down below us was a hotshot firefighter, and he got called up to the blast. He was to be search and rescue. He got stopped right before where he was supposed to report to the military and set up guard post, and he could see the tents and everything, like headquarters, fire headquarters, and he's seen a lot of military personnel, and at first he thought it was kind of weird, but when he realized how huge the blast area was, he understood why the military was there. But what he didn't understand was they held him at the gate while a helicopter was idling over by the tents, and there was a big net on the ground and a pile of what he thought was bears on top of the net. And he said about 20 minutes after he got there, he was talking to the guy at the gate, and all of a sudden the helicopter was just idling, then all of a sudden it powered up and took off and turned towards him. He said the net was about 15 feet over his head as it went by, and it had feet and hands hanging out of this big cargo net. You could see a dozen hands and feet stuck through the netting as it went over him, and they were hairy like bears, but it wasn't bears. And I laughed at him. It says I timed out. I don't know what's up with this thing. Yeah, so I don't even know if I'm on now. I don't know if yeah, I guess it's still on. I'm still live. Okay. For some reason my tablet timed out. I don't know why. In Ohio, Ashland, Ohio. I didn't know there was a Ashland, Ohio. That's interesting. Hey, L. Shepherd and Wicked 133. Vancouver, lots of sightings in Vancouver. I actually want to go to Washington and go squatching with Nate Rudd. And at the same time, I want to go visit Dr. J over there and talk to him about the Janu and everything about the Janu. That interests me a lot. And the only reason that he interests me so much is because he was the first person I ever saw that had a modern sighting. Wow, something flew just in front of my face. I caught, in the other two videos I downloaded them, it looks like I caught rods. You guys know what rods are, right? In my video, I caught what I think is rods flying through the thing. Because I never see anything like a bug or a moth or anything, but I see it. I catch it on the camera, and it's only like 2 frames. That's it. I can see it right there. I don't know. I think that's a bug, right? Oh, that's a bummer that the internet went down. I have a feeling they're going to take everybody's internet down here pretty soon. I don't think it's going to be long, and we're all going to lose our internet. It might be that 10 days of darkness or whatever they call it. Yeah, there's so many air conditioners on right now. I was going to use the boom mic because there's not a lot of wind, but I came out here and was setting up and everybody's air conditioner's on. It is so hot. I wanted to come on out here about 7:30. The sun was still up, kind of, and it was 100 degrees. It was like, I am not sitting out there in 100 degrees. So I decided I'm going to come on a little later, but I want to do it where you guys back east and in the mid-states don't have to be up so late. I hope I'm not keeping you up, because that isn't my intention. I just can't sit out here at 100 degrees. It's just impossible for me. Yeah, it really is. In fact, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on something. I have some people contacting me about sponsorships on my YouTube channel, and I don't think of it as my YouTube channel. Okay, I think of it as our YouTube channel, and so I thought, okay, I gotta come on and ask everybody what they think. They're out of the three of them. I thought, okay, so if I'm going to have a sponsor, it has to be something that benefits us, and maybe that you guys might be interested in having. Otherwise, why even have them? You know what I mean? So one of them is called Patriot Supply, and it is you guys probably seen it. Almost everybody has that Patriot Supply, and it's 5-gallon buckets of food that you can store away in case something might happen. And I didn't think that was a good one at first, but watching the news and seeing what's going on in Cuba, France, Ireland, South Africa, and other countries, Germany, and seeing what's happening here, it might be a good idea to buy some of that kind of food and stash it away. I know you could get stuff at the grocery store and put it away, the same kind of things. But I don't know that for sure, because I don't know what's in their 5-gallon bucket. But I thought, okay, so maybe I might, out of all the ones, that one I might let sponsor me. So yeah, the grocery prices are going up and everything like that, so it might be a good idea to stock up on food. So I went ahead and signed everything to do this. Doesn't mean I have to do it. It just means that I'm ready if as I see everything going down, I'm ready to make that available to everybody on my channel. And I'm probably going to buy a lot of it myself too. Yeah, that's what we've done so far, is stocked up on beans and rice and stuff like that, like Hamburger Helper. But there's another kind that you just add water and you cook it in the microwave or on the stove. And we have a whole lot of that stuff, instant oatmeal, even regular oatmeal. We bought a lot of that kind of stuff and have it stashed away. I'm not real sure about how to keep water. Does water keep? Do you guys know? Like cases of water. We had a bunch of cases of water for, I guess they were in there 6 or 8 months, and I thought, man, we need to use this water. I don't know how long before the plastic starts making the flavor of it go bad. So luckily there's a lot of people in my house, and we flew through that stuff. But I need to restock resupply the water. I'm just not sure. How long can you keep bottled water before it starts getting the flavor of the plastic? Stuff like that. Yeah, it was in a cool, dark spot in a closet, and pretty much temperature controlled too. Doesn't really get too hot or too cold in there, but but only I'm, you know, there's been like fake outs, if you know what I mean. Like, it seems like, oh man, any minute something's gonna happen. Well, then nothing ever happened, and then I started getting more, I was learning discernment on the whole thing, and I started realizing that we really are getting here now. We're getting to the point, we are at the, I would say, the event horizon of possibly things happening. I mean, people's bank accounts, nobody could get into them the other day. A lot of banks, Bank of America stopped giving out certain loans. Different things that never happened before are happening. So the food prices are going up like crazy. Just things that are more dire than it ever has been, if you know what I mean. You know, before you were just hearing things, now you're seeing it and hearing it, you know. Wow, really? Dollar General's out of stuff? I know when me and Jeff were doing the Paranormal Central, we did probably 5 prep shows, and I mean, it seemed like it was a good idea then, but that was, you know, several years ago. If I had that same water right now, yuck, you know. And I already went through all we already ate up all the food where it was nearing the package date, which was good for like 3 years, you know, and then it like used Best Buy, you know, if you use it by this date. So we used it up, even though I know you could store it a whole lot longer than that, probably 10 years, but we decided we were going to replenish and put in better stuff, and now we're really starting to go for it, because it's really looking like we need to. We are in bizarro world, bro. We are. Yeah, that's true, Johnny on the Spot. They usually are out of everything. You know, I think it's because they get damaged things. Like, say a train has a wreck or something like that, and 1 or 2 cars are just demolished, you know. But they'll buy up the whole train load, so a whole lot of stuff is really good still, and that's where they get their stuff. So does what do they call it, grocery outlet. I was asked, that's how I found out, grocery outlet, that's how they get their stuff. DG said, really, they don't have delivery drivers? Does nobody want to work now? Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. Yeah, it is a full moon. I should turn the camera on the full moon before I run out of power, huh? Let you guys see the moon from like a week ago. They better not be coming for me, man. I'll be tripping if they do. I'll send them packing. Yeah, one of the things I want to do is buy up ammo, and there's none to buy up. I'm really sad about that. I have a little bit, but you know, not to feel comfortable, not enough to be feeling comfortable, you know. I won't be lasting long in the ammo department if anything happens. Yeah. Yeah, so that's about what I wanted to talk about with Bigfoot. You guys got any questions? I don't know how long I've been on, but I know that thing's not going to last but an hour, and I didn't want to talk the whole hour up. You know, the whole idea behind going live is chatting with you guys mostly, and I know you guys gotta have some questions and stuff. But I haven't really been out squatching for it's been so hot. Even in the mountains it's been hot. Tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit of squatching. I'm going to be at a festival way up high up at Huntington Lake, California, and anybody that's around me, you know, in the Central Valley here, meet me up there. It's going to be 78 degrees. It's going to be 100 and something down here, only 78 up there. So meet me up there. Are portals I think they are, and the reason I say that is a lot of people might not agree with me, but over my years of studying and researching Bigfoot and looking for them, I've never seen a portal, but I've taken reports, or I've talked to people and taken reports of the Bigfoots disappearing and reappearing and disappearing and reappearing, and I've also talked to people that found stairways in the mountains where they go all the time, and then here's the stairway that goes nowhere. And I was told by tribal members not to ever, if you ever find anything like that in the woods, do not get on that stairway, because you will not come back, is what they said. You go into a different dimension, the stairway disappears, you're gone. So I do believe that, and I also believe that they're not good. Okay, they're inherently, I mean, they can, that's why I want to sit and talk with Dr. Johnson, Matthew Johnson. There may be good ones, but I have a funny feeling, like a weird feeling inside of me, the way they lay the fear on, and they're elusive and evasive and sometimes destructive. Like, I watched them push 3, I didn't see them, but I was there, Jeff and I were there, and within 30 minutes they pushed 3 trees down in a probably 30-foot circle. 3 trees. And I heard one, I saw the next one, and I heard the third one. And that was totally meant to scare us. I know it was. I have really good friends that, I mean, you guys know Adolf, he gets abducted by aliens. I've talked to, I would say, around 100 people that have seen aliens, and at least a handful of them have been abducted. What I found over the years is they don't tell the truth. So the Bigfoot might be giving you a line that they're, you know, they're not demonic or anything like that, but some of them act demonic. And to me, you know, if you can disappear and you could go into other realms and stuff like that, if you read the Bible, it talks about it. If you read the book of Enoch, it pretty much talks about these hairy beings and stuff. And if you talk to the native tribes, and it could be anywhere in the United States, they respected them, but they also feared them because they took the children. They almost all of them say, don't draw attention to yourself by whistling in the night, or, you know, those rules that they all have, and they're all the same rules. That leads me to believe that they're not good. So if they're demonic and there's portals, that means, sure, that's what demons use, or jinn, or there's lots of different names for them. It's just an interesting thing, right? Do you think portals and leave certain telltale signs when they open and close? I don't think they do. Otherwise, I would have found sign. I mean, I'm a tracker extraordinaire, and I would have found. You know, I think it happens on regular trails that are used, but I don't think you can tell that the portal opened and that anyone went in or out, you know, because it's on a well-used trail usually. I have found burnt sticks in places that where fire never existed. I just thought maybe there was a campfire there, because some people go in the woods and they'll have a campfire and they don't use a ring, you know, like rocks, and it could have been 20 years ago or 10 years ago, and everything's been scattered about, and you'll come across, you know, a half-burnt stick or something like that. I mean, that's just how I rationalized it away. I never gave it any more thought than that, though, you know. That's pretty true, Woolly Booger, but we weren't good to him, I know that. I mean, I'm part of the Cherokee tribe, so is my wife. I mean, really tight with them. And then I worked with the tribes around here as a marketing director in a casino, and I know a lot of people, all the way down to Thule Reservation, where they have the painted rock with the Bigfoot on it. I mean, if it wasn't for me, finding Bigfoot wouldn't even have got to go to that rock. And because of finding Bigfoot, nobody ever again is gonna go to that rock. That's kind of sucks. I mean, I could still go visit it, but nobody else is going to go visit that thing because of what finding Bigfoot did. And it made me so angry. It made them angry as well, but I mean, there's little variations with Bigfoot, but not too many, you know. And they tried to warn the white people, believe it or not. They don't listen. Never did listen, did they? Yeah, I know a lot of people that do that. That used to be my job, in fact, was to fill the seats in the casino and try to extract as much money out of the people as I could. Keep them in that chair a long time. What I found was the average was around, you know, average, okay? There's some that do a lot more and there's some that do a lot less, but the average is about, average person's worth about $80 per visit. But I know some people, like there was a little lady that was a real estate agent, and her husband was a professor, tenured professor at a state college, or Fresno State College, and she would come in and stay 3 days and drop $27,000, you know, and leave with no money. She would hit big jackpots, 10,000, 13,000, 15,000, and she wouldn't leave it until it was all back, you know, and she lost all the money she brought. It was amazing. She paid everybody's salary, I think. That's interesting, Johnny, that is. Wow. There's lots of grizzlies now. Lots. Same thing with, they did the same thing to polar bears. They almost hunted them to extinction, but now they're protected, and now there's probably 5 times more polar bears than there was, you know, before they started hunting them. And it's pretty bad right now. I have some friends that they're Inuit, and they fear those polar bears. Those polar bears aren't afraid of them, and they'll wait outside of their little houses that they have in their village, and they'll be waiting around the corner and let you get out a little ways from the door, and then they'll pounce you and eat you. So they're really weary, as much as calling their neighbor to look on the side of their house, you know, and see if if there's any bears. You know. I mean, yeah, they're pesky little bad guys now. They really are. In fact, one of them sent me a picture this morning of a UFO. They live way out there by the ocean, and she sent me some footprint tracks of Bigfoot. She said it was 24 feet tall, and they don't have any trees or anything up there. Everything's just low ground cover, you know. There's no trees, and all of them, I can't even pronounce the word they have for Bigfoot, but they say it's around 24 feet tall. They're really afraid of it. But she sent me a picture of a UFO, and I, you know, she takes pictures all the time, and there's this mountain range, or you know, low mountains, and there's no trees or anything on them. They're bare as can be, and they see the Bigfoot over there at these mountains, so they're always watching them. And this morning she sent me a picture of a UFO sitting on top of one of those mountains, and then they were having a chat. It was on Facebook. She posted it and then put my name, so I would tag me, I guess, and so I would see it. But then they were chatting about it in Inuit, so, and you can't translate that. That's one language you can't go on Google Translate and translate. So when they start talking Inuit, I have no idea what they're saying, and they're big long words, you know. I want to hear them talking it one day. It's actually pretty interesting. Yeah, I lived in the hills in the foothills, raising my kids, and there was local deer. They were pets, pretty much. They ate the dog food, and people left grain and salt licks out for them, and they weren't to hunt them. It was just because they were like pets in the neighborhood, you know. That's pretty trippy. Some of them were like, if I always wanted to sneak a shot, you know, and bag that big buck. It was probably like ending it's getting near its end of its life anyways, you could tell. But he was huge, you know, and I always wanted to bag that one and have some back strap. You have a rump roast, you know. Yeah, I'm bad. But I haven't deer hunted since 1987. When I seen the Bigfoot, that was the last time I deer hunted. In fact, I didn't go camping. I didn't go hunting. I didn't want to go in the mountains again. It took about 6 years for me to get over that, and I'm still not comfortable. Even after, you know, however long that is, 1987 until now, I am still not comfortable up in the hills, even within a fifth wheel. I'm still not comfortable. It takes me a long time to go to sleep, if I do go to sleep, because I've seen these things do some pretty amazing things, like running, for instance. They run like ninjas. They're forest ninjas. That's what they are. Now you see it, now you don't. They look stronger than any weightlifter or pro wrestler or bodybuilder. They're just massive, graceful, powerful, and faster than anything I ever seen. Yeah. Backstrap. That's like the most tenderest part of the deer, though. You know, that's the part I keep. Like I'll give friends different cuts of venison, but they don't get the backstrap. You know, that's the most tenderest part. Man, Night Rider, the fire is so bad. I believe it because all the places I ever camped over there in D7, every place I hunted there, the whole deer migration route, it's burnt. All of it. All the places I saw Bigfoot, burnt. I mean, it's so bad that it's like some places like the moon. There is no trees, no grass, no anything. It's just like a desert over there. And same way over this side too. On this side of the river, it burned. And then what was it the other week? I said 165,000 acres. I was wrong. It's 365,000 acres. So the real true number is 365,000 acres burned. I feel terrible that, because I'll never see it again. I'm 62. I'll never see the forest of all the places I used to love. I'll never see them forested again ever in my life. Yeah, we would do D7 or D8. D8 is over towards Sequoia National Park, but there's a lot of Bigfoots over there too, and there's some big deer over there, and so far it hasn't burned over there. Yeah, see, I went over there too. We hunted over there and camped over there. Courtright, Florence, Edison, Mono Hot Springs. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to be at Huntington Lake all day, and then I have a room reserved at the China Peak for tomorrow night. I had it for tonight too. My nephew got it for us. He's throwing a show on the beach, China Peak Beach. So it's free music and everything all day, free. Yeah, there's some vendors out there, food vendors, different vendors. I'll be there all day tomorrow, and then stay the night at the hotel, and then come home Sunday. My sister's over there right now. She's going to use the room tonight, and then she's going to come home tomorrow evening. Yeah, oh sure, I know it'll heal itself. It's going to need some help though. If it's going to go faster, they're going to have to plant some trees, because it actually sterilized the dirt. It burned the trees and the roots. There was just holes where the trees are in a lot of places, I mean for miles, and no grass will grow. There's areas where the grass is growing and stuff, but there's a lot of areas where it was so intense that it sterilized it. So there's no pine cones, there's no grass seeds, and it'll take forever for birds to bring that in. You know, somebody was saying, oh, the birds will do it, but it'll take a long time to rely on the birds and animals, you know, and the bear poop to help reforest. It took man's help to burn like that. It's going to take man's help to recover. Cool. That's a cool place. Yeah, the rain will deal with it. It'll wash it all into the river, right? Yeah, I wonder if even my grandkids will see it. There's some places that burned along that same canyon when I was a kid, probably, 6 or 7 years old, and you could still see, like, there's still no pine trees right there, but there's a lot of grass and stuff, but there's still no trees, and that turned to, that's where the winter range is now. That's where they winter, the deer winter there because of all the grass. Yeah, it's interesting. It changed all my Sasquatching, where I go to Sasquatch to look for Bigfoots and stuff like that. It changed all that. All my camping, I'm now having to look for other areas. I mean, I have them, but it's places that, if I had my preference, I would go back to where I used to go because it was beautiful, and these places aren't that great in comparison. But it looks like, by force, I'm gonna have to change my habits, otherwise be sitting in wide open territory. Yeah, that was cool. They put the gas station back in at Cressman's. That made me happy. Over the left shoulder. It's probably just a cat. I'm in my backyard. And I'm actually broadcasting through my phone. Most everybody, I know there's a lot in here that weren't here the last time I broadcast like this, but I'm using a $2,000 Canon with a lav mic that's wireless. It's a wireless mic, and the transmitter's on top of the camera, and I have cable coming out of the HDMI out of the camera going into a video capture dongle that goes into a cable that you use for charging your phone, and it goes into the phone, and then there's an app that you turn on where you can connect to YouTube. So without using my camera on the phone and the microphone on the phone, which are crap, I'm using a $2,000 camera and all my professional stuff and, microphones and everything, and I'm broadcasting through my cell phone to YouTube and going live. And it's so cool. And I'm going to do this every week. I'm going to come out every weekend. And I'm going to try to find places to camp where I have a cell signal. I'm going to try to do it there too, And when we're out, I could do this day or night. The camera has night vision. I probably should show the moon real quick. Oh, it's not high enough yet. It's coming up behind me. But I don't know if I have time. I probably don't have a lot left on my phone. It lasts about an hour. The phone lasts about an hour. Yeah, doesn't that suck? That, like, certain Sierra Club people, and they call it a Sierra Club, you'd think they would be for managing the forest, but they're not. They don't want anybody in the forest. They want us all locked out of the forest. So when it burns like that, they're like, yay, it's burnt, nobody's gonna go in there anymore, it'll grow back, and then they want the government to gate it all up so that you can't go in there. That's actually what they're going to be gunning for now. Gate it all up. There's no reason to be in there. You know, that's what they're doing. I've actually been to several meetings. This is what we have to do. We have to get involved. No more sitting on the couch and thinking that the people that are in these positions and stuff have our best interest. Because the only ones showing up at the meetings are the idiot, crazy people. And because that's all they're hearing from, and because they're leaning, the people that have the positions are lean that way, that's what happens. And then we're just like letting it happen because we don't get involved. We have to start getting off our butt and showing up in these meetings, city meetings, county meetings, school board meetings, forestry meetings. We're going to have to start showing up in numbers that will shut these a-holes up and start getting it right and do it right. And replacing the people that don't have the main population, the Americans, good in mind. We got to change this because we've been busy doing our thing, and we've just been too trusting, and we shouldn't have never been this trusting. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty myself. But that's what we have to do, is we have to start getting involved. Because if we don't get involved, pretty soon we're going to lose it. We're going to lose everything. We're going to lose our right to go to the woods. We're going to lose our right to hunt if we want to. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to lose my channel. So, yeah. I think trees are sexy. The ones behind me is real sexy. It's a sequoia. It's a redwood tree. You know, and I get it, you know. Like, we're busy, we're working, we're raising kids, we're doing our thing, and we think that everybody believes almost the same as we are. We're all Americans, right? So we believe that everybody is thinking like that. They're not. Intentionally, people are being put in place that don't think like that. And they're intentionally doing this, intentionally. And knowing that we're not, that we're trusting and everything, and they're taking advantage of us so bad. The only way we're going to get it back is put our foot down and start putting our foot down collectively. And because that's what they're scared of. They, divided we fall, but united we make them run. And that's what we have to do. Man, if you guys only knew why the trees all died. Like I've been going to these meetings, these forestry meetings, like I said, for probably 3 or 4 years. There's a guy that works for the forestry that is like us, right? He loves the woods. He got a job in the woods. If you work at something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? So that's what he did. And he tested the water in the snowpacks and stuff like that, all the way from here to Washington and back. And he found they're spraying stuff, okay? They're spraying stuff. And what they're spraying, whatever that stuff is, barium and aluminum and a whole bunch of other stuff, he was finding it in the rainwater. And in the spring, when the snow melt happened and everything, the trees would draw the water down. And in the fall, they would draw the water down, and they coated the roots in this stuff. It coated it so bad that it was almost like an armor. and it wouldn't let the water through, so the actual trees died of thirst. That's what they were dying of, thirst. Because they'll tell you bark beetles did it. But bark beetles, from what I understand from this guy, bark beetles can't attack healthy trees. So the trees have to become unhealthy, and then the bark beetles can attack them. And that's what happened. And then for, you know, the whole western states, almost all the pine trees died. And then they cut the logging out, so there was all this stuff on the ground that should have been cleaned up, and the loggers do clean that up. They make brush fires, and they do back burns and all kinds of stuff. They manage the forest. The loggers do better than anyone. But all that stopped, so now there's all this debris, and now there's dead trees, and they knew if they started a fire, it would burn like that. They knew that. This is a plan. It's called Agenda 21. Look it up. They're about in the middle of their agenda right now. And there's only one way to stop it, and that was the way I was just telling you. Got to get off our butt, get out of our comfort zone, and get collectively loud. Yeah, that was Paradise Fire. Perfect example. My great uncle lost his home and everything. And he told me that he thinks they were using beams of light. They were seeing beams, like giant lasers coming out of the sky from, he thinks, satellites and maybe planes, but they didn't see any planes. They just saw the beams. And they would hit a car or something and set it on fire, and then that would burn, like start the whole neighborhood on fire, like a chain reaction. It was crazy talk. Everybody thinks he's crazy, so nobody will listen, but that's really what was going on. Yeah, the pines, they're spraying it everywhere. Daytona, everywhere. It's really, the one behind me, the top of it died, and one of my friends is a tree doctor. That's what he calls it. His business is the tree doctor, and he told me just cut the tree down. But we cut the top off, and now there's a branch going straight up, and the tree is still alive. You know, I don't know how long it'll live though. But these trees right here, and pine trees, they succumb to that, whatever it is they're spraying, really bad. And from what I understand, we're breathing the same shit, okay? And they can use this shit with the cell phone signals, and 5G is a big key to it. I mean, you can look at the patents on this stuff. If you really want to know, look it up. It's in the patents. And they can line up these little particles in your body using frequencies. And they can cause laughter, elation, mad, anger, everything. And they already know how to do it using these frequencies. I mean, it's all in the patents. You could read the patents. It's all there. Same thing with this, you know, stuff. It's all patented. It's been patented since like 2005. I mean, it's all patented. This is all planned, every bit of it. And I should get off this subject, or I'm going to have a YouTube channel. Man, but only, you know, that's what's happening to us right now. That shouldn't even be something I should worry about, or anybody, that we're going to lose our channel, right? That's another part of the plan, right? It's another part of the plan. It's like totally a trip. You say the wrong word, it's bye-bye. It's so sad. Yeah, exactly. right at the time when the winds are going to blow, the Mono winds or the Santa Ana winds or whatever you want to call them, the ones that come from the east and head towards the ocean, and they're hot because they're coming out of the desert. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that ridiculous? You say the wrong thing and you lose your channel. So do you guys want to see the moon real fast before I lose my signal? I'll wait and see. Heck, these guys have the technology to desalinate, is that how you say it? Desalt the ocean. We could be pumping the ocean and taking the salt out of it by the millions of gallons. We would not have a water shortage. But you think they're going to let us have that technology? I don't think so. Free technology to them is solar technology, but it's still way out. We still can't use solar all the way the best that we can. Okay, you want the moon shot? I'm gonna give you guys the moon shot, okay? Let me put this mic up. I lived in the desert as a kid. It was back in 1968. Yeah. I might have to like pack the phone a little ways. They went swimming today, so the ground's a little wet over here. Let me see. I think I can. You guys see it? Let me turn off the IR. But yeah. See, now you see that window right there? One night I seen a black shadow. There was a light in that one. It just went out, but I seen a black shadow. It was sitting over here on this edge of the roof. And when it saw me looking at it, it ran across. And it ran across those two windows with the light. And it freaked me out that there was these... Oh... Darn, I'm holding it. Let's see if I can hold it steady. I'm almost at 400 zoom. I can't hold it steady. Let me see. I'm about to lose the cell too, so let's see. Whoops. Sorry about that. I don't want to jumble you guys around too bad. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so I can't see chat while I'm doing this, but okay, it's really a full moon, huh? You see that? Whoops. I can't lock the thing down. I'm kind of balancing the tripod. But yeah, that's full zoom right there on this camera. My cell phone could never do this, you guys. But yeah. Okay. Let me turn it back on night shot. Yeah, so that's the branch that's right there. You can tell we cut it off and then there's a branch coming up. But the tree was dying. Okay, so let me get back over here. The camera's a lot higher. Let me see here. Lock it down. Okay. See, that should be good. Yeah, I only have, it looks like, %28 left on it on the phone. Darn thing is wants to there we go. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's totally dark out here and I can't see a flipping thing. You know? I'm like, I can't see nothing. And there's quite a delay. I'm sitting here looking at the moon. Night fire dude. Is that the fire dude that went out tonight? Went out? Left? So I'm sitting here watching the moon. Pretty cool, huh? That's pretty cool. I got the camera sitting taller now. I had to raise it up. Yeah, that's about where it is, about the 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that. You're absolutely correct. They can see it. Like 10 years ago, we were using security cameras, and we had one of them that could see 300 feet and a DVR, and we'd set it up in camp and wait until they came in, usually around 11:30. They would start coming in and checking us out. Well, they would come in and then we would flip the switch on everything and turn it on, and they would be well within 300 feet. But within as fast, it was like they could read your mind, which I think they can, or read your intentions. All of a sudden they would jump back or run back just out of view of the camera. They would stay like right near us, but they never let themselves get in the beam of the infrared. And we tried that so many times that pretty soon we gave up on infrared. They can see it. And that's why you never catch them on a game camera, because the game cameras have infrared. Yeah, they read us. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they do. But yeah, there was the moon and all that. And I know I don't have very many minutes left. Looks like I'm nearing like 20%. It'll start giving me warnings at 15%. But it was fun, man. I enjoy doing this. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. I won't be here tomorrow, and I won't have cell service where I'm at. But I will make a point of videotaping the woods and stuff around Huntington Lake and China Peak, and I'll come home and edit something together and share it on YouTube with everyone, share what I was doing up there. And I'm working on some merchandise, some t-shirts and stuff like that. I want to do some, I can't say what I'm going to do because somebody will steal it. I know they will. If I tell you what I'm going to do, somebody will do it before I can get an artist to render it for me. So, but be expecting some cool t-shirts and stuff here pretty soon with some great sayings and stuff. And I'm gonna, I'll wear them, you know, I like wearing Bigfoot t-shirts. It really causes, like, I don't know how many times I'll be walking around with a Bigfoot t-shirt and get stopped somewhere and somebody will tell me their story about their encounter. And they always do it like, hey, you know, I never told anybody this, but you believe in Bigfoot, right? They always start like that, you know. I'm like, yeah, I do. God bless you, Brent. You have a good one, man. In fact, I probably should call it before the phone dies, really, because I don't think it's good for. I don't think it's good for electronics for the battery to totally run out. Even though I've had Bigfoot kill our batteries and everything, absolutely everything. The cameras, the phones, everything that we had on us that was battery operated died with fresh batteries. But before I go, I want to pray for everyone. I believe there's a God. And I ask the Lord in Jesus' name to bless every single one of you in every area of your life, whether it be health, wealth, whatever it is that I ask the Lord to fill your need. Bless every one of us. Keep us safe in these times. Let us open our eyes and our ears so that we can see the supernatural and know what's going on around us before we get hit with blindsided things. And I ask that in Jesus' name, and I pray blessings on all of you. Amen. And Chris, I send a special blessing to you, brother. Let your heart be healed in Jesus' name. Let your whole life be healed in Jesus' name. Let everyone's life be healed in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right here. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you next week. For sure.